Welcome everybody to another Monday night stream of me, Steven, coming at you from Freeze Peach Gaming, Freeze Peach Gaming, actually gaming stream exclusively on Monday nights from about 7 to 8:15ish. We're getting into The Witcher 3 again. Let me make sure everything's coming through pretty well. Alright, let's see. I don't remember what I was doing, but I'm going to follow that green arrow. I hope that everyone else is having a wonderful day as well. I'm going to be honest, I kind of don't care about those quests. Should I go after that one, or I feel like I should go up here? I mean, really, I only care about getting the place of power so I can get the ability point. Either way, this is a lot closer. But yeah. So, apparently, on the stream I'll be doing later, we're supposed to be talking about some Siasec thing. Uh, I'm curious, however, if Shellback knows that that is that was an ad for Netflix. Oh, I'm gonna die. Okay, I didn't die. Why is my... Yeah, that wasn't good. We're just gonna cross over here. And I don't really care about those spoils of war. I'm not gonna be using them. I'm already geared up. Yeah. Trying to think of what else has been going on in the world worth mentioning. I mean, obviously, Elon Musk buying Twitter. A lot of people have been talking about that. Overall, I'm totally cool with it. I have no problems, of course. You know, it's been my side of the aisle who's been getting shit canned and censored for years. But I will say at the same time, I feel pretty vindicated in the fact that I have for quite some time now been all for Section 230 protections, and I will say, at least people who, you know, like, I disagree with people like Steven Crowder on the whole Section 230 thing. I actually think that it is perfectly acceptable for a private company like Twitter, because it is a private company. We always talk about these being the, you know, this is the modern town square, but I'm just going to be honest, in my opinion, it is not the modern town square. That's not what Twitter or Facebook or MySpace or any of these places are. Ooh, excuse me. Need some tea. All of these places are, um, they're privately owned. They're more like, it's more like open mic night, but you know, anyone can come, anyone can use it, but at any point in time, the proprietor of the establishment can tell you that they don't want to hear what the fuck you have to say, and they don't want you there. That is how all of these places work. It's how they're meant to work. And frankly, compared to the alternative, it is much better to have censorship. I would much
How
rather
you
deal
like that
with
silver?
censorship on my side of the aisle. People who share my ooh, people who share my point of view, having their points of view withheld by these places. I would frankly much prefer that than the alternative of what we are seeing now. These, the Democrats are starting, we're calling it Ministry of Truth along the right, which, I mean, not exactly a bad, name for it. It's basically Minitru from 1984. It's what you've seen in... it's exactly what we've been seeing with how they're acting. Ooh, I am close to death. Shit.
Right me numbers to work.
Come on. Who else? That's it? Okay. What was I talking about? Section 230, yeah. Uh, we have government interaction. We've for a long time, we have essentially been calling on the right, particularly from Trump and from a lot of his supporters. There have been plenty of calls for Section 230 reform, and basically that we do want to, unfortunately, taking the argument at face value for Section 230 reform is saying that we want to have the government determining what speech is or is not allowed on privately owned platforms. So now that the door was essentially opened, no one was paying attention because everyone on the right was like, oh yeah, it'd be great to have Section 230 reform. That way we can stop getting censored. Be like, yeah, it sucked. I'm not happy with it. I have to be careful about what I say on this platform here. I can't fully speak my mind. I'd get kicked to the curb real quick. So even though it essentially does go against, partially goes against my own self-interest, I would much prefer no government intervention, but, we let that, we opened that Pandora's box. We basically said, Trump, yes, please, keep pushing for having some form of government control over what is or is not allowed on private platforms, because if you're going to force...
Whoa.
If you're going to force people to not say certain things on platforms, it is essentially the same as far as government policy goes. It's essentially the same as saying that you have to be allowed to say things on platforms. I mean, there's a reason why political party and political affiliation has not been considered a protected class throughout the vast majority of the country. I think California is one of the only states that considers political privilege or political opinion to be a protected class, and frankly, they regret it. Yeah, there's the herbalist. Can't remember if I talked to her yet. I don't think I have. I'm not going to be making anything.
Yes?
Griffin, do that to her.
There we go.
Yes. Attacked her at night.
Yes, Godzillionaire, how is it going? I am talking about the Ministry of Truth, and yeah, basically my argument is that for a long time I've actually been in favor of Section 230. I know it's not particularly popular on this side of the aisle, but in my opinion, long story short, it is better to have... It is better to allow a private company to censor thoughts and points of view that even I would agree with myself, than to have government intervention, because if you intervene in one way, you're opening up the other parties to intervene in the other way, and essentially Trump calling for all of the, essentially forcing privately owned companies to allow certain language on certain platforms, it's opened up the Biden administration to go the opposite direction with it. Um, so I am glad that Elon Musk bought Twitter, because it seems like all of the attempts to
Could try to
try
help with
and
one of my potions.
make our own
Slowly
platforms
human
essentially,
genetic
like with
bridges,
Parler
But
and Gab and all of these other things.
which is
They wind up
potions on
becoming
humans.
other ends
she'll
of
die as it
the
is.
Yes.
echo chamber.
A peaceful
It,
death
it,
soothed
it's
by
just a
your
right-wing echo
concoctions.
chamber,
I
whereas
give her a
Twitter
swallow
was
when
trying to
something goes
force a
wrong.
left-wing
The whole
echo
village
chamber,
will
and
hear
it
the
wasn't working
screams.
very well in their favor.
I understand.
So now we're going to have...
Do as you
It's
will.
always been... It was leaning towards the left on Twitter, and now it's going to start going the other way, I think, over time. It'll lean a bit more right, a bit more free speech, probably be a little bit edgier on Twitter as well, which I'm liking. And you know what? I'm helping to make it edgier too. I occasionally like talking shit, but in a fun way. But yes, the Ministry of Truth, absolutely ridiculous. It's literally the first fucking rule of shit that the government can't pull. Like, literally. Number one thing government can't
How many
do,
herbs are
control
willing to sell?
speech.
I'm sure. I can
Positively
find
or
something.
negatively, they cannot control speech. That's the whole frickin' point. But do they care about that? Hell no. Hell no. And unfortunately, Trump has essentially set the precedent for that to start happening. What is up, Brightest Day? Now science fiction audiobooks previously booked with Brightest Day. How's it going? Glad to see you guys hopping in the chat. So yeah, I'm certainly not happy
Farewell.
about this Ministry of Truth. I I will say, at least most people are still pretty consistent as far as the Section 230 reform. I'll say most people who were in favor of Section 230 reform before, even though I wasn't, are still saying that they would prefer to have the publisher versus platform split in there, even though, and it's been a while since I've read the law, but I'm almost sure it explicitly states in Section 230 that the protections go both for publishers and platforms. And that the distinction is user-created content versus employee-driven content. So, if they editorialize something and it's put out by someone who is considered to be a voice for the company, then the company can be liable for it. I missed that one at the ransacked village. I'll get there later. Oh yeah, spawn on the other side of the house, Roach. Thanks. Oh, and the chick that they got heading up Minitru. So that's what I'm gonna call it. That's what they called it in the book. I'm just gonna stick with Minitru. I understand Ministry of Truth. It might have a bit of a better ring to it, but I like Minitru. But yeah, the chick they got heading that up. I mean, she's completely nuts. She's off her rocker. That stupid
Greetings,
fucking
good
song
man.
and dance
Having
routines
trouble
she
with
was
your well?
doing.
That's what I read.
Jeez.
Aye, tis haunted.
And her
Has
face.
been for a good 20
She's got
years.
like,
20?
like
Why'd you put out a
she
notice
is
just now?
smug personified.
'Cause earlier on
She
we
looks
drove
like she
into the river,
sucked 3 lemons
but
dry
so many
before she
corpses
takes a
floating in
fucking
it, I figured
picture.
back till it's turned noxious. My daughter
And like,
Mandy
if you
ain't
look
taken
closely,
picture.
her nose is like
photo of
scrunched up
nothing
too, and
but
I don't even know how she
photos
does it, because
like
like the
that.
rest of her face, like it always has that
Herbalist claims you fight
sort of look
fever
to
with
it, so it
tea.
doesn't look like she's trying
And not
particularly
beer
hard.
nor cider,
But her
water.
nose is still
Clear,
scrunched up in the
pure
middle.
water.
Yeah, crackhead Mary
Am I allowed to
Poppins,
get that? It's not from the
definitely.
well.
Yeah,
But
that
first,
chick
the
is.
ghost's gotta be driven away.
She took
don't
drama
let anyone
drama
near.
class back in high school. She is what back when I was going to school we would lovingly call a drama bundle of sticks, drama baguette. Except we would just say the bag part of it. And she never grew out of it. She loved being the center of attention. She loved people watching her and being on stage, but she's never been particularly talented. And look, I'll say probably better at performing than I am, because I'm not, a stage performer. That's not what I do. So but that's, that's kind of a low bar setting as comparing her to myself. But yeah, she's not that good, but she loved the attention.
This ghost. Describe it for me.
And now she's getting it again, and
It's awful
I
frightening. Awful.
this is something that will
What does it
only
look like?
exist in the clown
looks
world, but I think that it might
like a
wind up
woman,
being a thing. With it, this could
fresh from
happen.
the grave,
We will know that we are in a
dirty
simulation
dress,
that somebody
rags,
sat on the keyboard
skin
and hit
fractured off
enter
its bones,
before launching.
and it howls.
If
like
she
it's
does an
suffering.
actual
Sound
press
ready.
conference talking to
Maybe
people
not.
about the Ministry
You
of
don't
Truth
worry
and
about
talking to
Monster.
different social
If you don't
media
take
company
care of it,
representatives and the
it'll
like,
come kill me daughter.
and she actually does a song and dance routine like it's the fucking Oscars. If that happens, we're in a
I feel for you,
simulation,
but this is
and it's
my
run by
job.
crackheads.
So let's talk about my pay.
Something not right with the coin.
Oh yeah, Geralt wants some more money. And Godzillionaire said she has a very Wicked Whitmer of the West look to her. I don't think Whitmer... I see what you're saying. They have similar complexions, but I don't think Whitmer would be capable of moving her face that much. That bitch has more plastic in her than a Taco Bell burrito Sunday brunch cuisine, whatever the fuck. All the microplastics in Taco Bell couldn't match the amount of shit
That
in
settles it
Whitmer's
then.
face. That bitch has Botox for lunch. And I think it was Dave Landau on Steven Crowder had made a comment about her that she's one of those, like, if you look at her from a distance, you're like, oh yeah, that's not bad, but the closer you get, the worse she gets. And it kind of reminds me of, oh, I can't remember her fucking name, but the OK Boomer chick. That chick, I remember people talking about when she first came out. They were like, "Oh, you know what? She's kind of cute. She's a dumb cunt, but she's kind of cute." And I'm sitting there even telling my friends, like, "No, you need to look closer at that chick. The longer you look at that bitch, the uglier she gets."
Fine, I'll help. Where's this well?
In Babel, a settlement on the heights. It's abandoned now. No one ventures there on account of the ghost being about. Drive it off.
But yeah,
Please.
just the fact that we're having an actual misinformation and disinformation board, and the fact that even part of our country thinks that this is a good fucking idea, is what mostly disturbs me. Nika Lowell. Yeah, that's her name. Thank you, Brightest Day. Yeah, she... That chick. That fucking chick. Yeah, the longer you look at her, the uglier she gets. And that fucking... That simpin' is for king shit. Every time I hear people talking about simpin', that's immediately what I think. Is that little fucking affluent-ass white chick putting on a black scent saying, simpin' is king shit. Enhance. 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 Yeah, the closer you get to fucking Minitru chick and the longer you look at fucking Nicolol, the worse they become.
The infamous well. Strange. No sign of a ghost. Maybe it only shows at a certain time of day.
Maybe I have to search around in the buildings and find a bunch of clues
around the
to
well
finally do
scorched.
this, because it's a training mission teaching me how to do all of this shit. I'll say, I can't remember who brought this up a while ago, but somebody had that back in the day, you would play a video game and literally, like, there was no tutorial, there were no instructions for most games. It was just...
Might be
You pick up the
useful.
game and start pushing buttons. And you see what happens. Like, I hit B and this happens. I hit X, this happens. Alright, obviously this is movement. Anything on the L and R buttons? Nope, nothing on the L and R buttons. Because there rarely was. But, nowadays, everything has to have, like, a full tutorial. They have to completely tell you how to play the game. And sometimes it's nice to just push buttons. And figure out what happens and figure out how to play it. But you know, we've got to fall to the least common denominator, some nerdrotic players who
bodies dried to a crisp.
You know, he couldn't even make it
Signs
out of
of
the room
burns.
in this
All
game. He
signs
needs
point to
he
a
needs
new
so
life.
many tutorials that he doesn't even know how to leave a damn room. He can't follow a compass. And I understand that there's a decent amount of video game literacy out there. Let's see, Godzillionaire said you had to buy a game guide if you wanted to find secrets. Yeah, or you went to like GameFAQs.com, or I'm not even talking like secrets. Which, yeah, I mean, like, you had to have that issue of Nintendo Power, or later on GameFAQs was a thing. Making it through here. Yeah. Let's see if I get stuck. This might go poorly. I don't know why I'm looting these things. I don't need anything. If it isn't pertinent to the story, I don't need any of this stuff. Uh-oh, I'm stuck. But I'm talking about just movement, just doing your attacks, just learning how to move in the game. All of that stuff. How, you know, different ways you could combo, different moves that would work together. All of that stuff you had to figure out by just playing the game. And, but Rasputin, he has some really good videos about video game literacy. I think I searched all the buildings. I think it's time to go down the well. But he has some really good videos on video game literacy. It's Razbuten, Rasputin. Mostly video essays, where he puts his wife through these experiments where he sits her down with a game and gives her zero advice on what she should be doing. Oh, that was helpful. So, Prin Grape. But he gives her no advice. He just sits by and is a silent observer of everything that she's doing. And you notice that video game literacy is quite a thing, to where if you haven't been playing games for years, there's a lot of things that you just might not understand. For instance, the fact that I can use the right stick to move the camera, the fact that I know A is probably going to be some sort of interact, and B is typically jump. X in this game is a quick attack, Y is a strong attack. I can figure that stuff out. But the question then remains, did I get to that point of video game literacy by having to play games that did not hold your hand, that did not help you, and you just had to go along through it and figure out the game yourself? And if you died, sometimes you were starting back at the beginning. That, you know, it's game over, man. So you had to, over time, get good at the game, essentially. But games these days, everything's got a tutorial. Like, I was playing, I've been playing God of War 4, because I just hadn't played it. It came out on PC. I gave it some time to make sure they could work out all the bugs with it. That tends to be, typically I'll wait for a game to go on sale, but I wanted a new game, damn it, so I bought one. But yeah, God of War, most parts of the game, even though it's still a very difficult game, very challenging, but nonetheless, there's a lot of tutorials with it. There is a good amount of hand-holding. Especially if you play games like the old Elder Scrolls games, like particularly Daggerfall or Morrowind, and I'd say probably even Morrowind to a larger extent. You get very little directionality even. Like Morrowind, there's no compass telling you where the next goal is, like how I got my mini-map here showing me exactly where I need to go, which for the most part I don't even need. It's more of a quality of life thing I put on here. But Morrowind, there's no directionality. You have to look on the map, you have to go ask people for directions. There's all sorts of shit you gotta do. How much do I have left on those? Oh, 10 minutes left on my decoctions? I'm good. I am going to safety save, though. Let's see. Spectre oil. Oh, the rope. Oh. Read the bestiary. Yeah, thanks.
Something's tied the Noonwraith to this place. An object. Something she needs.
Of course, I
before
have
she'll
to
leave
actually
this world.
read it because, once again, it's a tutorial.
Bloodstains. Almost faded.
But
the lines taut.
I don't know, it
Something's
kind of
not
begs the
right.
question to add a bit of nuance to the argument of,
A corpse. hanged
is
by
it
the
better
bucket rope.
to have no tutorials or have, like, softer tutorials and leave
Woman
certain
the
things
general
to be
belonged
figured
to
out later
must
on?
be.
Have games gotten to the point where you need some tutorials?
Wide pelvis, small jaw.
Because,
Woman.
like, Death in, say, Contra,
Around 30, judging
which
by
is
the
a
teeth.
fairly simple game.
Left arm's missing.
Move, jump, shoot. Change weapons. That's
Need
about
to
all you
cremate the
have.
remains.
There's
Gotta
not
find
as
the
much
object
going
that
on. You
binds her
don't
to this
need
place
as much
before I do that.
directionality to keep you
Was she
going.
wearing the bracelet from her husband? Might be why her arm fell off.
Whereas something like God
Let's
of
take
War,
another look.
I don't know, they go so far as to, like,
Lovely
they tell you what
craftsmanship.
a
But I'll have to
light
burn
attack
with the
is,
body
what a
to get
strong
rid of the
attack
Noonwraith
is,
for
how to
good.
parry,
Better do it
all
near
of
the
this
well.
stuff that I think a certain amount of video game literacy essentially covers. But
Need to prepare for this fight. Brew some wraith oil. Drink some potions.
nah, you get. Actually, why do I only have 2 mutagens up? I guess one just didn't last as long. Let's see, am I all leveled up? I am all leveled up. Yeah, we're gonna meditate. But yeah. Just makes me wonder, would games be better with less
And
tutorials?
the bracelet.
Is it another thing we should essentially request from all game makers, along with, like, difficulty settings and everything? Should we also request the ability to turn off tutorials, which most games give you the option to skip a tutorial at the very least? Or should they
Hey,
just
I think it
automatically
worked.
say, you've got to go through with this very mandatory tutorial? Alright, time to overdose. Oh, that's it. Yeah, time to start gatekeeping again. Yes, most definitely. Oh, damn it. No, die. There we go. Yes, gatekeeping, it definitely should have
She's
never
gone.
stopped.
For good.
We should have always held out on... I mean, obviously we can't say who can or can't play games, but as far as inviting people into the communities, we should have. But it's very much a hindsight makes 2020 kind of thing. And as a lifelong nerd, I'm sure that a lot of people can also relate with the idea of really enjoying the fact and really wanting to have just more people as part of our hobby. I mean, I grew up in the Super Nintendo era. I had Super Nintendo. First, got my gray Game Boy back here. This was my first gaming anything I ever had. Got a SNES when I was 5. And as I was growing up, there were a good amount of people who were playing games, especially after Pokemon came out. Once Pokemon became a thing, definitely more people started picking up games. That was very much a popularity moment for the entire hobby. But it was still kind of a dork thing. It was kind of a nerd thing, like especially when I got to high school. I mean, a lot of different people were playing games. I had a lot of friends who were big into it, even like some of the guys who would be considered some of the cooler kids. A lot of them were even big into games. RuneScape was huge at the time. But nonetheless, like all of my friends who were really big into gaming, we were all the dorks. And the idea of when gaming started becoming more popular, especially when more girls started getting into gaming, it's like, it's been a bunch of sweaty, can barely grow a beard dudes playing games for years. I wouldn't mind having some women around in the hobby. We wanted to be inviting. We wanted more people to come in and join us. But what we didn't know is they were going to bring a bunch of bullshit ideology with them. We were trying to go take this at face value. And I really feel hurt by this because I'm a big part of the tabletop community. I do tabletop gaming twice a fucking week. I play all sorts of games. That is my true passion. Tabletop fucking gaming.
You keep the coin from Mandy.
And that shit has been completely overrun by straight up cucks. I wish I had the hindsight, more than hindsight. I could have had the forethought at the time to get ahead of it and gatekeep that shit. We are starting to get, we have the OSR now, which I am a big proponent of the OSR, but even that isn't exactly, okay, that's weird. Why do I have to go back to the herbalist? I'm getting on the horse and running there. Yeah, I wish I could just time travel and tell past Steven, no, you need to hop on some forums and you need to stir some shit. You need to go stir some pots and start some shit and gatekeep the fuck out of tabletop, because otherwise it's going to get shit all over in a few years.
Yes?
Listen, ever heard of a woman named Claire? Lived around here?
Heard of her?
So,
Mild way to put it. Claire was a friend.
Unfortunately, now that a lot of
Only
these spaces
person
have been
dating
taken
an old
over,
white
it's going to be
orchard.
difficult to actually
Until her
gatekeep.
husband
But
broke
I
the
think
code
we've
to hold
essentially
the manor.
created
He
a
then gathered the
parallel
family, moved out into
fandom
the woods to start a new
to the
settlement.
wokeness, and
The
we are
Lord
slowly
himself
growing,
rode there to convince
and
them
more
to
people are
return.
coming to our side,
They were to
and
be
it's not
civic.
going to take long
No
for
forcing,
teenagers. I
no
know
bloodshed.
we especially older people, we look back at the teenagers
saw.
and we think they're all a bunch of,
Word is Claire said something
toeing the
about the Lord's
line,
son flogging.
wannabe socialist,
Something that made the Lord
brainwashed fucks,
furious.
but a lot of them,
But he
I would
knows
even
the
say
truth.
probably the majority of them, we just don't hear
That's a
from them,
misfortune for
are
such a
pretty
small
edgy.
village.
Because they're teenagers and
Just
they
like
want to
every
rebel.
village.
And if they're being told by
Even
everyone
small.
around them, if 70% of the teenagers out there are for,
But let's not end on a
cancel
teary note.
culture and all this other
Yeah.
shit, you're going to have
But it's
30% that rebel super hard against that. And they're going to go far in the opposite direction
Yes?
and be super edgy. So we're going to start getting some more edgy content in certain, fandoms.
Got a potion for Lena.
And now that we
Smell
actually have a place where
All
we
sign of
can
spring.
we can
Symbol
speak
of
freely
rebirth.
at Twitter,
Fitting his name's
I
Claire.
think that's actually
Let's
going to
see.
do very
Like
well
I
for
said,
fandoms
good
overall.
armor. Deeply. Works on me immediately. But I have a faster metabolism.
And I will
Fix
say,
might be in your case
as
for
far
a
as
few
tabletop
days.
gaming goes, I've watched the
choose
like
this
1.5 episodes of the Geeks and
Decidedly
Gamers
better than doing
tabletop,
nothing.
and anybody out there who likes
I like you,
likes
Richard.
doing some role playing,
Here.
that it's a good place to go
small
check
gift.
it out. They all know each
Forgive
other,
my
so they
boy.
already have a good chemistry. They're all pretty new at the game, with the exceptions of Epic Mike, and I think Ryan Kinnell has played a bit of games in the past. He's played a little bit of tabletop, but not much in the past. Ooh, I am extra close to level. Do I even want to... I should do the side quests because they're fucking XP. And I'm going to want to be max level by the time I end the game, and I'm trying to level up faster. Alright, fine. I'm going to go do side quests. What time is it anyway? It is 7:40. But yeah, Geeks and Gamers Tabletop, I would suggest it. Oh yeah, I didn't do the missing in action quest either. So, hopefully, gaming will improve over time, and fandoms will get better and will become more succinct. And we can have our own spaces to go back to, where we can be edgy and we can talk shit.
Hey! Anyone home?
Lost your key, ma'am?
No, not me key. Me pan. It's always sat there empty, this hut. That is, till the night afore the battle. A man arrived, walked right in like 'twere his own. Was standing at my window, peering at the goings on. He must have heard me, 'cause next I knew, there he was, coming my way.
But yeah, you know, we have the...
I grabbed me pan.
Like I was saying before about the sort of parallel
He
fandoms.
just asks all
We
polite,
had our fandoms, we had them built up.
birch bark,
We
white
were the
ass,
awkward,
lilac
sweaty,
berries, or even a few
neck-bearded
poets.
guys
Nay,
who
says
liked
I.
to... We
And
liked
you
each other's
must
company,
be
we
right
liked talking
daft
about
to pester
games,
folk at night
we
with
liked trying to
such
get each other to
foolery.
start playing stuff. I mean, I've played card games, video games, tabletop games.
There
I
at me
did
pan, like a
did
magpie at
LARPs
copper.
for a little while, not like
Lend it to
Vampire or
me,
anything. I
Gran.
did
I'll give
it was
back,
a
come
boffer
on.
weapon fighting game. It was kind of gay,
What's he
but
doing?
um,
Lying in the dark. But I
you know,
got
it's
soft
and
heart,
this is something
so
I've done
I
a long
gave it
time,
to him.
and it got taken over by all of these cucks.
Fascinating
But
story.
in
Any
response,
chance you'll hear
over
in the
it
end?
really didn't take us that long, a couple of years,
Oh,
we've
good.
essentially built our own
Another
spaces.
rode up to the
We've
hut.
got the Geeks and Gamers space, the Nerdrotic space, the whole
Only the
fellowship
first
around all of
man
that,
left.
where the
Locked
rest of
the
us
door,
lie,
hopped
that's
on his
built
horse,
up.
and that were all I saw
And
of
we're
him.
gonna start
And
meeting
me
up
pan.
and shit. I'm going
Your
down to
old
Florida
back was
in a
soft,
couple of
not
weeks
worth
here
worthless
to the
clothes.
MegaCon
Like
meetup,
no other. Will you
and then I'll be in Florida again
bring an old
for the
widower
October
pan?
meetup, the
I
big
could never break
meetup.
down
I am
that
definitely
door
going to that.
myself.
Speaking of, I need to go to the Geeks and Gamers website and go ahead and let them know that I will be going to that, so they can, you know, help give them the stats to prepare for.
Well, that is lying there.
Never taken on a pan contract. Fine, I'll go in, look around. You should wait here, just in case.
Alright, who am I killing?
A corpse. Explains the stench. Cracked monocle. Interesting.
What's that, dearie?
Nothing. Nothing. His throat. He was garroted.
But yeah, we've
some old
started getting
scars.
our own spaces at
And a
least.
soldier might have.
But when I gab to myself, they say I'm going barmy.
Documents. Almost entirely burnt. A few pieces still legible. Ah, the priceless frying pan. Scrubbed clean. Looks like the mystery man didn't need the pan so much as the soot off it to make ink, write letters.
Found the pan, have ye?
Is that everything over here? Who cares?
Here, your frying pan.
Mine? But mine were black with soot, and I could see.
It
All
was
right,
the
I don't care, old lady.
dead.
Hang it. Fry up the knife.
Yeah, I should do that one too. Let me go check out this map marker as well.
Fish for supper. Or a pipe.
Yeah. And, I need to start checking out some more of the, OSR forums. Because, I definitely know that, the OSR is very much split. The old school Renaissance, for those who don't know, or old school Revival, depending on which translation you prescribe to. But yeah, it's essentially a revival of old school tabletop gaming, and Temerian Valuables, another quest. Oh, come on. I'm not reading the document. I don't care enough about a treasure quest. But in the OSR, it's become kind of split over the years. The community for the OSR, you still have the ultra woke people who are trying to take over
Faster.
these gaming spaces, but at the same time, you have the old school players who are just having none of that shit. And that's more along the lines where I would lie. I mean, I'm not exactly the oldest school player. You know, I wasn't playing back when second edition was a big thing, or even a thing. I started playing at 3.5. Alright, the rest gonna leave me alone.
What happened?
Monsters.
And,
Monsters from the swamp.
Alright,
Where?
I'm skipping this shit.
Fine.
Another
Cart
entry-level
tracks.
quest.
Rode off into the swamp.
But, Kitty, what are you doing? You got a cat chewing on damn wires under there?
Here's the cart. Cart's riddled with arrows. Interesting. I should take a look around. Square in the neck. Good shot. Either the merchant's got serious memory problems, or he's lying.
What was I talking about? Yeah, the split community throughout the OSR. Which kind of sucks, you know, you'd like to have a cohesive gaming community. You'd like to be able to just talk about the game for the most part and leave politics out of it. But that's just not how things generally work, uh, especially in modern day where everything is political because whatever's personal is also political.
Must be that box he mentioned. Splattered with blood. Human blood.
And but we have our own communities there in the OSR. We have our own people who are getting more and more into it, into this old school style of gaming,
Oh, and you find
which
Yeah. No
what's hap-
There's nothing but best hope.
all right, come on, Roach. I gotta chase this guy down. Damn, why does it take forever to load? Let's go. Got him.
Gotta get him out of here. Wake up. See? Can't run from the truth.
So,
Not even on horseback.
I guess what I'm saying
Now, who
overall
are
is
you?
isn't
Why'd
that
you
we
attack that cart?
we shouldn't stop saying that we shouldn't
Private
gatekeep, but I
first-class
just don't
jogging
think.
to
I mean,
million
we should put out a
Division
message
second
similar to
regiment,
that at least. Of
disbanded,
we need to
but
have
still
our own
active,
fandom.
underground,
Obviously, these
in the
people aren't
woods.
gonna. We can't push them out. We can't
That was a
force them
medical
to not be able to
transport.
play games.
I'd be damned if it reached
But,
the black ones. And the medicine. Our lads could use it too.
We need to just
With
have our own
many ill among
spaces,
us,
which for the most part
let
we
me
have
go,
now.
And they might live and fight once more for a free North.
Fine. Go. And may you and your soldier buddies hiding in the bushes be victorious in your struggle against Nilfgaard.
Yeah, fuck Nilfgaard.
You've a vile sense of humor. But you're a decent man. Here, the gold I promised. Use it well. Drink to the silver lilies, and to Foltest's memory.
Oh, that whopping 16 XP. Still not enough to level. Guess I should do that last quest I haven't done yet. Missing in action. Yep. Out in the ransacked village. Where is that is the last location I haven't checked out yet. So yeah. I think parallel fandom. That's the way we should go.
Oh,
You know, is it even really worth our time to worry about what these other people have done to the old fandoms that they don't even exist in any way that they used to anymore? And this has occurred for all things. I mean, even friggin' Karlin Boroshenko, who I'm not the biggest fan of hers. Like, I don't have any particular issues with her, but at the same time,
Once it's safe.
Do that often?
I
Talk to your
just-
dog?
I don't know.
My
I feel like
brother's
she's one of those people that she grew up on the left and she's
Guess
been
he's
part of
mine now.
leftist ideology for a long
So,
time,
Bastion
and
fought
that
the black
it's
ones in a battle
difficult
just
for
outside the
her
village.
to take
And
on
they
more
were
of
in
the
since.
freedom-oriented
Do like I did,
libertarian
lose a finger
side
or
of
two
things,
so
to
they
where
won't
you
recruit
kind
you.
of have to have a certain amount of
Damn
live and
fool
let
he
live
was.
attitude toward things, like how, I don't know if you've listened to Young Ripa, but he talks about
I'd walk the battlefield if I
how,
were
you know, if a private business wants you to be able to do a
See the
handstand for
corpses
60 seconds,
and
that's
pork
the
shells
private business can
feeding.
demand that And
Someone told
sometimes
me
you
they
gotta
were
let
feared of
things be
fire,
that
so I
way.
took a torch, tried to chase them off.
But people
Horse shite,
who
I
have,
tell you.
a lot of the people who have come
Would've
from the
ended up
walk away
eaten alive
movement,
if it
and I
weren't
don't
for
want to
the
like
Tsar here.
kick them out or anything. I don't want to ostracize
Listen,
them. It's just a
I've seen you
pattern I've
trade
seen
those
with
swords
some
for
of them.
winning shows.
Not all of
Tell me,
them, but
keep
some
the
of
balls
them,
off.
is that
Help me find
there's
Bastion
certain
and I'll
parts
pay
of
you
the
well.
leftist ideology that they haven't been able to leave behind. They
Fine.
still
I'll
want to
help
have
you.
a certain amount of control,
Been
but
a few days since the battle.
they're grappling with
Chances of
having
finding your
been
brother alive
conditioned
is
for a
slim.
long time to
Very
want
slim.
certain levels of
I would've
control
thought,
and to cancel
I
people
want
and
to find his body
to
at least.
try
So
and
Bastion
be an
don't rot there in the
activist who
sun
goes
with
around
the dirt
protesting at
crumbs.
businesses and the like. And it's like,
Meet me
okay,
on
I
the
get that
hill
you don't
overlooking the
like
battlefield.
Walmart, but no
We'll
one's
move on
forcing
together
you
from
to
there.
buy shit at Walmart 9 times out of 10. You can, Alright, gotta find a good spot to get down here. Because I don't want to die jumping off this cliff, which is too easy to do. Yeah, fuck it. Let's do a safety save. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I got a level on my sword. But yeah, we can have our spaces. We can have I'd say YouTube is predominantly right wing or centrist libertarian, whereas Twitch is a bit more left wing. And I'm not talking about the owners of the companies, because surprisingly enough, YouTube is more like, Twitch is more likely to evenly distribute their rules and actually enforce them on people who, I mean, not 100%. Basically, if you're a big titty chick, you can get away with whatever the hell you want on Twitch. If you're not, well, you can go fuck yourself. But even with that, it's I'd say YouTube at least is predominantly right wing, and I think that's how they come up with the whole right wing pipeline. You got your alt right pipeline on YouTube. Jordan Peterson's gonna make you a Nazi.
What now, you piece of filth?
Oh, there he is. I just walked past him.
You're here, good. Bastion. His body must be here somewhere.
Among countless others. Want to examine them one by one? Could take a while.
You needn't
All
fret.
right.
The
I think
recruits
after
from
this
White
quest,
Orchard
I'm gonna
planted a
call
small
it for
flower
the
on their
night.
shields so as to be able to
Gotta
spot
hop
each other
on
in battle.
Shellback
Just a few of them.
stream
Look
here
for
in about
flowers,
30
you'll find
minutes.
Bastion quick.
You can find me over at
No
the
offense,
Yelling at
but
Parked Cars warm up
Many of the soldiers dropped
on
his shield,
Shellback TJC's
especially
channel.
if he was on the losing side.
Oh,
If we
also,
find the
I
shield
launched a
alone,
new
the
channel,
Sile catch
by the
the
way.
scent and lead us to Bastion. Come on. Sooner
LOTR
we get this done, the better.
colon step by step. Okay, let's not do that. I'll put it in the chat at the end. New channel. I am doing a scene by scene review of Lord of the Rings Extended Edition Trilogy. I'm digging into every scene. I'm pulling up trivia for it.
That him?
No. Neighbour's son.
So, if you are a fan of Lord of the Rings, definitely come check that channel out.
That him?
No. Come on, Hussar. Can you smell Bastion, boy? Oh, can you smell Bastion, boy?
Skin's burned off. Might be hard to tell, I know, but could this be him?
Bastion was big, broad-shouldered. This one seems smaller, but maybe it's the fire did that. He found him! Hussar's caught his scent! Come on!
But there is more. My lieutenant demanded we defecate on command. Ballista bolts, landing all around, and all he could say was, "A soldier with a full stomach will not step onto the battlefield." Now shit, that is an order. Can you believe it? The cretin.
Stop! You're killing me. My ribs. It hurts to laugh.
That needs a tourniquet. But first, want to explain what's going on here?
Bastion! Is he... Has this Nilfgaardian captured you?
No. He saved my life. I got a cut to my side, and then got hit in the head. Couldn't see anything. Rosin here found me as he crawled across the battlefield. His legs twisted. And so we were. Blind man leading a cripple. Found this place.
I'm taking you home. We need to see to these wounds.
I won't leave Rosin here. Alone he'll die. And he can't go back to his home. He's deserted. They'll hang him.
And what if they find him with us? They'll hang us all, my Laisha included. No, the Blackened stays here.
Bastion only made it with the Black One's help. Maybe you ought to show him Nordlings aren't as barbarous
I'll
as
be a
the Tharkans make
compassionate
us out to be.
Geralt.
Well, I could give him our pa's clothes, teach him to work the field. But that accent... Fine, I'll take him in. Thank you, Witcher. Your reward. And the gods protect you.
That's what I wanted. A level up. Let's see. I got poison blades. Already got acquired tolerance. So the build I'm going for here is essentially the, abusing mutagens build. And that one right there, delayed recovery, which I still need to spend 4 more points in this branch to unlock. That is the one that will really boost this build up. Yeah, I'll just go more into poison blades. But, alright, let me give a quick save again. I think that's going to be it for me tonight. I am signing off here. Even with all of the crazy crap going on, Ministry of Truth being made, we're having... I would like to think, I would like to hope, because even with the new nomination for, Kentaji Brown Jackson, whatever her name is, and now we have a full-on left-wing nutter in the Supreme Court, even with all of that shit, I still think the Supreme Court, which is still predominantly right. I mean, Trump got his 3 scoops, and Kavanaugh and what's her name haven't been quite as hard-leaning towards, freedom and constitutionality as we would all like. But nonetheless, they are still predominantly right, and I am hopeful. I would like to think, for a bit of a white pill, I would like to think that they are going to hold up the Constitution and they are going to shut this Ministry of Truth shit down, because that's basically part of the Supreme Court, is that is part of the checks and balance, is they can go in and say that something that the Senate is doing is illegal. So we have the Ministry of Truth, and basically they're going to be able to make whatever sort of counsel they want. But as soon as they put forth any regulation or administer any sort of fine, that'll immediately start kicking up the court process. And it takes time. It's not easy, but our courts are designed to eventually kick this all the way up to the Supreme Court, and they will have to shut it down because this is purely unconstitutional. It is clearly, I mean, it's literally the first fucking rule that the government can't do is determine speech. So that's sort of my white pill moment for this. Is I think that this whole Ministry of Truth thing is they're pushing it really fucking hard, and they're going to try, but I think in the end it's essentially going to be a nothing burger. Now that doesn't mean we shouldn't talk about it. We should definitely talk about it. We should talk about how crazy and ridiculous this is, and how this is the kind of shit that they pull in dictatorships. Like, there is yet to be a dictatorship that doesn't have some form of a Ministry of Truth. A Truth and Reconciliation Councils that they have up in Canada. You had the Ministry of Propaganda in Germany. You had the Ministry of Misinformation and Disinformation, which was part of the KGB in Russia, in Soviet Russia. So never has a dictatorship existed where there isn't some form of manipulating what is true and what is not by making it illegal to say certain things. But we have the First Amendment here. It is the first fucking rule. They would have to completely dissolve the Bill of Rights to be able to go through that. And the Bill of Rights numbers 1 through 9 are basically covered by 10, which says you can't fuck with these in front of it. So, they always say, well, it's an amendment and it can be changed, and they have done a lot to Swiss cheese a lot of our amendments over the years, but right to speak freely, kind of stuck there, kind of sacrosanct, and the Supreme Court has pretty much never gone, at least not in the past, I want to say 80 fucking years, has the Supreme Court actually gone in favor of controlling speech. So, bit of a white pill for you there. Not all is lost with the bullshit that the Biden administration is trying to pull. It's probably going to amount to nothing in the end. But with that, I'm going to leave all of you wonderful people. And I will see you guys in, about 20 minutes over on Shellback TJC's channel. So everybody, be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes. Never be afraid to speak your mind. Good night and good luck. All of the goodbyes, and I'll come up with something else to add to it next week. Or not.